Hello and welcome everybody to the first Gunner's Voice podcast of 2025. Guys, I know I went a bit cold turkey on you guys, but it was the festive period. I actually just got away, had some rest and recuperated, and I'm bringing the podcast back with a bang. If you can't tell who's on the screen already, guys, let me introduce you to one of my favorite Arsenal content creators, guys. And this is just genuinely, you can ask anyone that knows the content I consume that. I've got someone that I really enjoy listening to, and that's James B, guys. If you don't know where James is from, guys, James has his own channel called the Goonerverse, as well as obviously being a regular at AFTV. And I mean, everybody in the Arsenal space should know AFTV. You can catch James on Tactical Insight, which according to these judges is probably the most boring show, but I actually enjoy it. And then he's also on my favorite Arsenal podcast, the Forever Arsenal podcast, where you can catch him, Turkish, and Jordan. And then, guys, obviously, like I said, Goonerverse, where him and Sharoy have their podcast, as well as him doing his instant match reaction. So, without further ado, James, bro, welcome to the Gunner's Voice podcast, bro.
Mate, thank you so much. What a lovely intro. It's really, really nice of you. And it's a pleasure. I love chatting to Arsenal fans. I love chatting about Arsenal. I enjoy it more when they're good, but we have no control over that, I suppose. But yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
100%, bro. And as always, guys, before we get started in today's show, there's the subscribe button. I will also drop all of James's social media handles, so please support his channel, support what he's doing, guys. Give him a follow on X, give him a follow on Instagram. Obviously, like I said, subscribe to his channel and subscribe to the Gunner's Voice as well, guys. And yeah, without further ado, I think there's a lot that we want to get through in this video, and I think it just makes sense to start with tonight's Champions League fixture. That's obviously Arsenal at home to Dinamo Zagreb with potential qualification on the line here. Arsenal aren't in any danger of not making it, but we can secure it tonight. And I think that's so important for where we are currently in the season. Funny enough, the group stages aren't even finished yet. It's almost February and we're still talking about Champions League group stages. So it always, for me, just shows how much football is left of the season. But James, bro, obviously big game tonight. I'm sure you guys will be covering it there in the studio, as always. Just what are your feelings towards tonight's game? Do you think it's a game that Arsenal should obviously take seriously and look to actually put on a good performance, or do you think it's about just get the result, get qualification, and on to the next?
Yeah, do you know, it's one of those. I did the preview with AFTV and I kind of look back on it thinking, damn, was I a bit too, maybe not arrogant, but just kind of brushing aside the game as just, get the points and get out. Let's not make a drama out of this. And I think Madrid and Man City and big clubs to a degree do that. I think they do, just recognize that there's bigger games than others. And some you can be more in second or third gear. Others you have to go full throttle. And I think Dinamo Zagreb should be one of them. But I will say, and actually, while we're here, I'm just going to look up the Champions League table, so I'm not giving any false numbers. But if I'm not mistaken, Arsenal are, after yesterday's games, they're still fifth, which is good because, a lot of the teams played yesterday with 13 points. But, Monaco in 10th are on 13. Lille in 11th are on 13. You go down to Milan, AC Milan in 15th. They haven't played. They're on 12. So it's one of those where slip up at your own peril because 15th could overtake 5th. Yes. So I think the reason we're quite comfortable is because Dinamo Zagreb are sitting in 25th, the same record as Man City, on 8 points. And we're thinking, beat them. We had another 3 points, and surely we're looking, very comfortable. I mean, you'd think there's absolutely no danger of going out the top 24. I mean, that is looking the case because we're 5 points clear of Man City and Zagreb and 6 points clear of PSG, and they're all 24th, 25th, 26th. But, they've got a new manager, so you wonder about a new manager bounce. If they, drop into a deep block, it's something we have struggled with. We're not exactly high on confidence, certainly not in front of goal. And then Girona away becomes awkward. I don't think, especially with how tired and shattered this Arsenal squad looks, I don't think we can afford to drop out the top 8. And I have to say, getting into the top 8 would be a job well done. And we could be very critical of most of the season. But you know what? Carabao Cup semi-final, still a second leg to play. Disappointing in the first leg, but you never know. FA Cup, undoubtedly underachievement. Premier League, we're underachieving, but we're still second, so it's not the end of the world. But obviously we wanted the title. That's what's really getting at fans. The Champions League, though, it's ticks, it's thumbs up. I mean, we've been doing our job. Really, we have. One bad result there, Inter Milan. I don't think we even deserve to lose that game. And the Champions League,
Mm.
we're very much doing our thing. But we don't want to make this awkward by then having to go to Girona and hoping we do something there. Get the win. It all but cement top 8, and we go from there.
100%. And when you think about this game, I actually look at it as such an important game because, like you said, we're struggling for form. This could be a possible game that Arsenal could use to platform themselves into a good run of form again. I'm not saying that
Yeah,
I expect to beat Zagreb 5-0, but it's a game where I think we need to take it seriously. Go start like we've been starting the last two games against United and who did we just play? Villa.
yeah,
I mean
Villa,
Spurs and
Spurs, yeah.
Villa. Yes, with that kind of intensity. Start the game and try get the goals early. One thing we've done in the Champions League since we've been back in the competition is actually put up quite good numbers at home in terms of our goal scoring record. We tend to score quite a number of goals in Europe at home, and I'm hoping that I think it's a big game for players. Like I think Sterling will get minutes again, so it's a game where you hope someone like Sterling can step up, maybe get a bit of form when Yeri's coming back at a Fury. So I don't think it's a game that we should take lightly. I think it's something that
Oh,
like you
absolutely.
said, a Madrid or other teams would take maybe less seriously, but we aren't in that position. Unfortunately, we can't afford to put our Champions League hopes in the balance. Our fan base, our recent success won't allow that. We need to finish as high up as possible, and I think just touching on the Girona game, for example, that's before City. I would don't want to go into that game as a must win, to secure
Yeah,
top 8. Like you want to go into that game as calm as possible, that knowing regardless of the result, you've qualified in the top 8 and you can look ahead to City calm. It doesn't have to be a intense 90 minutes before City, on the weekend. And I think from that perspective, I hope Arsenal, and I never question really whether Arsenal got with the right intent, honestly speaking. Since Arteta's been here, I think his message has always been, like it's the next game, it's the next game. And I think this game is as important as Man City in 3 games, in terms of if you lose tomorrow, it changes the
yeah,
whole course.
yeah. It starts to make things really messy if we don't get the job done against Zagreb. I think what I'd say is in defence of Arsenal, and again, let me just quickly look this up. I mean, when I think of our last fixtures, bar Ipswich at home, it's been a nasty little run. You've got
Mm.
I mean, we had the nicer run where it was like, Everton at home, Palace at home in the cup. But then Palace away, Ipswich at home is an easy game. But look at the form Palace are in. That wasn't easy. Went and won 5-1.
Yeah,
Then
100%.
Brentford away, Brighton away, Newcastle at home, Man United at home, Tottenham at home, Villa at home. Because 4 of them are at home, it's kind of masked the fact that, you know, that was a tricky run. Those are 4 tricky teams. And I include Brighton away in that. There's no shame in drawing with Villa. There's no real shame in drawing at Brighton. The problem is that we keep getting the results that there's kind of no shame in, but they're just not really good enough.
Yeah, I
Now we
get you.
hit Zagreb at home. Wolves are in bad form. Girona, you never know. Then it's Man City at home, which is going to be tricky. But then it's Leicester away, who are not having a great season at all. Then it's West Ham at home. The games start to become a little bit more mixed in terms of, well, that
Opposition.
they're in the bottom 2. Oh, now we're playing Man City. And because we
Mm.
haven't had like that blockbuster Liverpool Man City game for a while, but we also haven't had that game in the relegation battle. Everyone's kind of, against sides in the relegation battle.
Mm-hmm.
It's felt like a standard run of fixtures, but there were some tricky games in there. And the thing is, we're playing every 3 days with a depleted squad. You only have to look at our bench to know that. So, yeah, you know, Arsenal aren't in bad form. We're just not in good enough form. And I think there's a big difference there. We're not
Facts.
in terrible form. It's just not enough, really. We drew at home to Man United. So did Liverpool. Only
Mm.
difference was that we had a penalty shootout.
That's shootouts,
Okay, the
facts.
10 men made it worse, don't get me wrong. But look at the chances we missed. I mean, on another day, we should have won that game. Newcastle, well, it's the first leg. And again, we had chances in that game. Villa, I mean, I thought we kept them at arm's length and we're good enough. Arsenal are just, there's where we want to be. And then there's, oh no, this is a shambles. There we go.
Mm.
This is a shambles. And we're just somewhere around here. We're not quite where we want to be, but we're not a shambles right now.
Mm.
The problem is that the overarching message of the transfer window being like, why have we not done anything, is making everything look worse. It really is. The fact that Arsenal have been so unserious off the pitch is adding and compounding to the misery Arsenal fans are feeling.
Yeah, no, and I think just on that regard, it's like you're saying, we are clearly short on confidence as a fan base and as a team,
Oh yeah,
and we are struggling with a depleted squad. And then you say, like you said, you think that as the board, you could lift the spirits of the team by getting the signing over the line. For whatever reason that is, it's not happening. And you know, I'm not in the boardroom, so I can't say they've been working around the clock or they're doing nothing. I think Arsenal have notoriously always done business like this. Genuinely, Arsenal will surprise you here and there. When they do bring out a timber signing, or out the blue they'll sign someone. But most of the times, our transfers tend to really drag along until either in history we've seen that we've almost panic bought the Williams, the Sterlings, those kind of signings. But at the same time, we've also seen them pull Declan Rice out of the bag. In most recent times. So in terms of the window, which you will eventually get to. I should like quickly, James, just your prediction for tonight's game, bro. Just your score
I,
prediction.
yeah. I said 2-0 Arsenal because I thought it won't be spectacular. I actually could see us maybe getting a couple goals early and then resting a little bit and not trying to exert too much energy with the amount of
Mm-hmm.
football still to play. So I'm going to go 2-0. But I mean, I'd happily take that. I mean, that would be like thumbs up. Well done. We made no real drama out of it. What about you though? What's your score prediction? Do you think this could be quite emphatic from Arsenal, or the opposite?
Um, the thing is, but I actually haven't watched Dynamo at all. I won't lie to you. Like I
Yeah, no,
haven't.
neither have I. I'm not going to pretend
So
I
I,
have.
I can't really tell you what to. You said new manager bounce. I think Fabio Cannavaro, is he the manager? So like ex Ballon
Yeah,
d'Or
he is. Yeah,
winner, Italian like World Cup winner. I mean, obviously you know that's really touches home for you. But in terms of that, I know nothing else about them. And just looking at league position, seeing City there, like City and Zagreb on being close in the log is not a true reflection of the quality of the team. So I can't say that Zagreb are really good or City are really bad, in that regard. But
sure.
I would expect Arsenal to go out tonight and get a victory. I want it to be comfortable. Listen, you can concede a goal, but it can still be a
Yeah,
comfortable win. So I'm not saying go and get it.
yeah.
You need to win 4-0. Excuse me. But ideally, I would like Arsenal to get a convincing 3-0 win. And I don't think that's out of reach. I think if you look at the last couple of games, Spurs, Newcastle, United, Villa, we've created enough chances, just haven't taken them. That's the
Yeah.
sad part about it, is that we're leaving goals on the field. And I think
Oh
whether that
yeah.
will come back to bite us later on in the season, I mean, it currently is, but I mean, obviously the season isn't over. But I think I need Arsenal to really start putting their foot down in games, and putting their proverbial foot on the throat, of games and killing it off. If the chances are
You're
there,
so right.
take them.
You're so right. And there's a bigger knock-on effect, which is okay, we might be leaving goals on the pitch and therefore not winning a couple games, or maybe not winning as emphatically, like 2-1 against Spurs. That was a 4-1 performance for me, the chance
Exactly.
we had. But, and we want that, as fans, we want to look at Spurs and go, we battered you 4-1,
Mm.
5-0, whatever it is. Look, but the goals aren't really reflecting those performances. But the bigger picture is that Liverpool aren't perfect. We've dropped points at home to Everton, away at Brighton, at home to Villa, all on weekends that Liverpool dropped points themselves.
Mm.
Liverpool made a mess of those games as well, those same weekends, and we didn't capitalize. And that's 6 points there from
100%.
0-0 against Everton at home, and then leading against Villa and Brighton, both leading in those games. And we'd be level on points with Liverpool right now. We'd be saying, well, if you want your game in hand, if you want to be top of the league, you'll
You have
go
to go
to
beat
Everton, at
Everton.
least get a point. Well, we could be answering
Exactly.
that question. And I remember pre-Everton, we were all sitting there going, title done. Fulham. I remember we drew at Fulham. That was it. We drew
Yes.
at Fulham 1-1.
1-1.
And we were saying, oh, and you can go beyond, you can go before that when we beat Man United. Yeah, we beat Man United 2-2 and they dropped points. So they've dropped 8 points since Arsenal fans declared we were out the race.
Mm-hmm.
That's in a month. And we are still here in the exact same position we were in when we, before kicking a ball against Man United at home in the 2-0 win, which was in December.
December, yeah,
We're in the
100%.
same position, which is 6 points, but probably 9. And that was, if I'm just go back on the fixtures, that was the 4th of December. Come on. 4th of December We beat Man United 2-0, and we were hoping that results would swing our way. That I was barely getting excited for Christmas then. The 4th of December, a 2-0 win. They dropped points at Newcastle, and we were going, and they've got in the next month and a half, they've got some tricky games. And lo and behold, it proved that way. They dropped points, and we have
didn't
done
capitalize.
nothing to close the gap. Tells you everything.
Sorry, bro, and I think that actually ties in perfectly to our like in our main our first topic of the day, which obviously like the season so far. And I think in context, with all that said, I was speaking to someone earlier at the gym. I was like, as poor as everyone says Arsenal are, I'm like the gap is only 6 points. Yes, Liverpool have a game in hand; it could be 9. But at the end of the day, I said he's a big Real Madrid fan, and I said to him, "Would you want to go during a title race to your biggest rivals' home ground at their last ever game? At that stadium, being an evening game. It's like it's already tricky as it is, but I just think Arsenal have. It's so weird, but I don't even want to say that we've also necessarily let ourselves down. Yes, there's been moments, but I think there's been my consolation for me is that everything bad that could have happened to us this season has, I think, already happened. Key player gets injured in terms of Saka. Worst decisions in terms of the refereeing decisions that we've seen happen against us. Poor patches of form, in terms of winning here, drawing there, losing. I think everything that has almost annoyed me over the past 2 title races has already happened. Saliba and Tommy Yasu injury 2022, 2023 came quite late on into the season, right? And then you look
Gabriel
at
coming off injured against Liverpool is a big one. I think we win that game if Gabriel stays on the pitch.
I mean, bro, you go back to the Brighton game against with Rice's red card. You just look at that and it's like we were in the ascendancy, and immediately Brighton are a good team. So if you lose a player, they're good enough on the ball to take control of a game. City, I think that was they scored early. We got back into the game and we just looked like if every time we had a set piece in that game, particularly, we were going to score. We looked dangerous. I think had we gone into the second half of the Man City game, 11v11, I genuinely think we could have still won that game. That's just my overarching opinion. But, if I look at the season as a whole so far, yes, the FA Cup is disappointing, but I really don't like this narrative of Arsenal fans or some Arsenal fans that are suddenly, maybe not say suddenly, but winning the FA Cup is not a metric of a good season currently under Arteta, in my opinion. He can win the FA Cup.
I get what you mean.
Finish 4th, and I'm like, that's bad because yes, you won the FA Cup, but the goal is to win the league every season. And I feel like my attention is more, and my frustration more is at the Carabao Cup than the FA Cup. If you're looking at it at that regard, because you win the Carabao Cup now in February for a team that hasn't won a title or a trophy in 5 years. I think the boost it can give you in a title race, even if you're 6 points behind, go and win the Carabao Cup. It's massive, bro. And I just think that's where Arsenal kind of let me down. There's been moments this season where I'm like, okay, guys, capitalize on the moment. And they're just not. Whether it's Liverpool dropping points, whether it's a semi-final rising up for the occasion, it's just, I don't know. So far, it's just not clicking. So I just want to hear your thoughts on the season so far.
Yeah, I see exactly what you mean. I think what I'd say is that, just about everything that could have gone wrong for us has, but that doesn't mean we've done everything to prepare and be ready.
True.
I think so. I'm about to sneeze, but I'm avoiding it. There we go. Do you know, I've been cleaning my room. It gets all dusty. There we go. Real professional podcasting here from me. There we go. Okay, the season so far. I wanted us to not throw away the Carabao Cup. And look, we haven't. Even if we got to Newcastle, we haven't thrown it away. We got to a semi-final. We met a good team who were in sensational form. We came up against them. They were very clinical on the day, and we missed chances. We haven't thrown that away. So if we go out of that, I'm disappointed because our record in the Cups is poor, but I'm not going to beat Arteta with that. He went with as strong 11 as he could, and it didn't, a bad day. Cool. The FA Cup, kind of similar. I'm really disappointed because I want silverware. But again, at that point, I'm looking more to the players. I do actually. That's not strictly true. I do think Arteta hasn't coached this team well enough to be inventive and brave and have some freedom when it comes to creating chances and just sort of expressing themselves on the pitch. I do think we lack that in our performances generally. So I think ultimately our problems are because of the transfer market. I think Arteta's a part to play in that, and also some of the coaching of attacking football. So sure, but again, on the day, we probably did enough to go through. No, sorry, I take that back. No, we didn't. United did enough to go through. So yeah, that was a bad day. I was just trying to sort of look at it from a more positive angle, but no, I think United, there's 10 men, the way they defended, fine. Like I said, the Champions League is going well, and the Premier League, it's like Liverpool have now entered the patchy form that Arsenal, Man City, others, not as bad, but they've entered that kind of realm of patchy form that others have had. Only they had such a sublime first 11 games, first 12, 13 games, that they will constantly maintain the gap. So we all started here and they were just pulling ahead. And now everyone's kind of moving at the same amount, but they are just keeping that lovely gap.
100%.
Yeah. And that's why, last week they had Forest and Brentford away. I was thinking, just come out of this week having closed the gap. And we did for 3 days. And then we didn't. And then it was back to what it was.
Yes.
So the season has been disappointing, somewhat predictable, unpredictable in terms of how unlucky we've been. But I think it's been somewhat predictable in the sense that, we didn't invest in the forward line. I was calling for it. Everyone was calling for it. And when you don't do that, it means that you become a more predictable side. It means that your ideas can go a bit stale and run out. I think that happened to this Arsenal team, and teams caught on to what we're doing, and that's that. And so yeah, while we've been unlucky, I don't think we're doing enough to win games a lot of the time. At Brighton, we didn't do enough to win that game. Brentford, we just about did. Ipswich, sure, just about enough. It wasn't great, So there's questions to be asked to ourselves, but also we can feel that some things have gone against us too, for sure.
100%. Just in terms of when you speak about like how our performances haven't been as good or as fluent as they possibly can. Look, I have a group chat with a bunch of my uncles and my dad, and we in the group we've got United fans, Liverpool fans, and we always say we don't make excuses. Injuries aren't an excuse, right? And so I'm going to stick with that narrative. But at the same time, it's genuinely the truth this season. The fact that you aren't able to put out a sustained 11 for 5 games in a row, is going to be telling over a long period. You can get away with a few changes if you're playing a Champions League format or you're playing 7 games. You can chop and change for 7 games, but you're not going to put a sustained run of form. And I think that's what Arsenal have yet to do this season. Is if you look at 2022, 2023, we started off with a really good long run until we, what they would say, bottled it. And then last season we started off a bit patchy, not bad, and then we ended off really well with a good string of these results. We yet to go on that we yet to see that happen, and I'm actually hoping that my ideal scenario is, but we win tonight, get on a good run against City, hopefully get a win. Hopefully the home crowd and just having a couple of good results behind that gets us the win, and we can then go to Dubai, just for a reset. I think the team, and it's the ironic thing, go to Dubai and things change, but I mean from a basically a Arteta. I'm sure if you remember in lockdown, James, how well he used to do with the water breaks. Arteta, you'd always, during lockdown, you'd have his little team talk, and immediately afterwards, we look like we'd always play better. And I think if he can integrate maybe a signing or two during that little break while everyone's playing the FA Cup, get the players just calm. I think then with some players back, by the time we go to Dubai, hopefully you get Tomiyasu, Ben White back, Wanyeri's back, Calafiori's back, maybe a signing or two, a good stream of results. I think then from there, I think I have a lot more confidence going to the second half of the season, in my opinion. But my overarching feeling is that we can still win the league. I genuinely still believe that. I think that we've seen enough Premier League football in our lives, or I'm sure I have, definitely I have, that it's the most unpredictable league. When it gets to those last 10 games, 10, 12 games, bro, things happen. And I think 16 games left. It's January the 22nd. I don't think any other team would be cancelled in this. If this was Man City, who was second, 6 points behind, people wouldn't write them off. If it was Chelsea, if it was anyone else, but because it's Arsenal, automatically everybody just labels it as it's finished, as if Liverpool this season have been incapable of. Yes, they've only lost 1 game. Don't get me wrong, but they've been open. There's been chances against them. We, with our depleted side, should have beaten Liverpool had we.
I totally agree.
So
I totally agree.
I'm not all doom and gloom about our season, because I think the 2 major trophies that we're going for in terms of Champions League and the league are very much there. It's maybe we aren't favorites, but like I said, I think if things can go the way I hope they do, then I think we can have a real push towards some sort of silverware. And I think that just brings me to my next topic, and it's like, This season, bro, obviously, like you said, we're out of the FA Cup. It's looking quite gloomy in the Carabao Cup, and we are where we are in the league and stuff. Silverware, is it
Mm.
a demand this season from you? You know, do Arsenal need to win something? Not for Arteta's legacy, not for anything, but just for like, geez, man, like we've been trying to get something over the line. Is it now? I don't want to say never, but is it now? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I got to say, just on what you were saying earlier, I mean, you make some really good points. Like, it's always a funny sentence. The injuries are no excuse. Just depends how. It just depends what the excuse is. So, should Man City fall out the title race because Rodri's injured? Maybe not. But he's a big player. He's the Ballon d'Or winner. Should they fall out the top four race because of Rodri's injury?
No.
Absolutely not. Okay,
Facts.
no, they're in the top four race. But should they fall out the top four? No.
I know what you
So,
mean.
so
Yeah.
it's just how you want to quantify it. So, my thing is, should Arsenal be second in the league with all the injuries we've got? I mean, we could be top. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. I guess what I'm trying to say is it an excuse that the injuries have seen us fall out of maybe first place? We're not leading the title race. I think that can be explained. Okay, we're
I
not
know. I
quite
know what you're
top
trying to
because of the
say.
injuries. The question is, should he be 6, potentially 9 points off with all the injuries? Maybe, but that feels less. That feels a bit more like, okay, no, don't use an excuse for that because you've been well off it in a lot of different ways. And also, it's about watching the team. I mean, when I watch the team, we can talk injuries, but I also look at the players that are out there and I know what they're capable of. So
Mm,
it's also, okay, we might not have Saka, but still 1-0 against Ipswich. I mean, that was really underwhelming.
mm.
But can you understand that without White, Timber in his best position, Saliba, Tomiyasu, Calafiori, Saka,
Wanyeri, bro.
yeah,
Wanyeri's had a good impact.
Waneri, could you understand why we didn't beat Villa at home? The answer is yes. But then the other
Mm.
context is, but you're already 2-0 up.
Yeah,
And then you look at the
exactly.
Partey goal at the back post, when the Watkins goal,
That
when
frustrated me,
Partey let him
bro.
go at the back post, you go, well, is that an injuries thing? And you go,
No.
well, no, any player should defend that. But also, he's not used to being in that position. So it's a really hard one. I think you can use injuries to explain why things aren't going particularly well. Excuse, yeah, it's a bit, it just depends on the context of the conversation. Sorry, I just had to touch on that and I
No, no
rambled
problem.
on.
Do you
I was
think? Do you think?
struggling to
Not you
explain
think.
myself. But you asked about silverware. In short, look, it's looking incredibly difficult that we're going to get silverware. So I don't think we will. And basically, do I think Arteta gets sacked and do I want him sacked? No. So silverware, when push comes to shove, isn't the be all and end all. Because if it was, I'd be saying, well, sack him because he had to win
Mm,
silver and he didn't. However, I think this was about Arsenal need to every season feel like they've progressed. If we're on a sublime second half of the season, as players get back fit and we've signed a player and we fall short to Liverpool again, I'm going to looking going, okay, you can say that this manager has fallen short 3 times,
mm.
or you can say he's been in 3 title races in a row. And you think, well, at
Depends
what
how you
point
look
do
at it.
we? What's that? Sorry.
So, like you said, it depends on how you want to look at it.
Yeah, and I'll say, it's easy for those who are 10 years older than me to have seen the glory days, but I'll say, look, I've never seen a better Arsenal side than this. So I'd quite like
Facts,
this
bro.
young manager to keep getting opportunities to build and get better. Then the Champions League is a complete unknown quantity for us. This league phase
Mm.
has been interesting. Hopefully, like we said in the earlier part of the pod, that we just get the Zagreb game done and dusted easily. Fingers crossed, because you never know in
Yeah.
football. But who knows? What if we do get a nice draw, a nice couple draws? What if that, I remember Inter Milan, I think, got to the semi-finals where they faced AC Milan a couple of years ago. And their run wasn't, I'm actually going to look it up. Their run wasn't Inter Milan run to Champions League final. They had a little bit of luck. Here we go. I just want to see who they played. They had Barcelona, I think, in the group. Knockouts, they had Porto. Oh, knockout stage. Round of 16. Well, Porto was one of them, and I think they had Dortmund or someone in the
Yeah,
other
I
one.
think I know
You know what
exactly.
I mean?
They
Like
run. It wasn't the most difficult.
it wasn't Real Madrid or Bayern Munich or anyone like that. You know, it's just I don't know. You can get a
The
little
luck
bit
of
of a
the draw,
favorite
bro.
draw.
Yeah,
Yeah,
facts. And you
yeah,
know,
you
with
can.
regards, sorry, but with regards to like
Mm.
so like you said, it sounds like I always get in the group chats like, oh, you as Arsenal fan, you don't want success because you don't want to sack Arteta because he's not winning. And I'm like, guys, I can't just base it off the fact that he hasn't maybe won the league title. And I always say the context in which we discuss Arsenal is very important because again, people say Arteta's been here for 5 years, which I think is about 6 seasons now, 5.5 seasons or whatever it is. He did not inherit a challenging title challenging team. He did not inherit a top four team or a top four
Mhm.
challenging team. Arteta had inherited a very mediocre mid-table side.
Yeah,
First ever job, and bro, to compete in what will be his third successive league or let's say title race. For me, again, see now it's like okay, Arsenal are going to be in the title race. We can fully say that now. It's been how many decades since we've been able to say Arsenal will be in the title race next season. We might not win it. We were never guaranteed to win it during Wenger's days. It was either Arsenal or United, but it wasn't always nailed on as Arsenal. And I think the whole metric now is yeah, if he doesn't win, then sack him. Then I asked the United fan, I said, how long are you giving Amarin to win a league title? He said 4 years. So I said, that's one more year than what you're willing to give Arteta, but I should sack him. And I think we tend to leave the context out of, you know, I think Arsenal as a whole, I think media, fans are quick to bite on and microanalyze everything. We don't really
yeah,
like to
yeah, for sure.
contextualize things, and I think that's been my biggest frustration, especially with this season where I'm like, guys, we've just been in two title races, right? We've been in one where we were leading and we fell off. We've been in one where we were chasing and didn't win. So we currently are chasing, but it's not over. We should have enough experience to know that there's twists and turns around the corner. I mean, had we done this podcast 2 seasons ago, I think both of us would be like, yes, Arsenal are going to win the league. And looking back, we would have been so wrong. We would not expect us after Saliba's injury to fall off like that. And I think in terms of the silverware aspect, I'm desperate to win the league, right? I really would like to win the league because I think it would just be a crowning moment for this team in terms of how far
Yeah, I
they've come.
totally agree.
It's not just about Arteta. I like Arteta's story because I think it's another unique Arsenal story. It's like a Arsene Wenger, a George Graham story where it's got a nice narrative to it.
Yeah,
But if it comes to a point where Arteta is not able to get us over the line, there will be a point where I too will be like, I'm not seeing it anymore.
for sure.
I'm just not there. I don't see the insane regression that people are seeing from last season to this season. It's like a few little things that if he maybe can tweak or if we can buy this player, if these players can stay fit, things immediately change. And I think
Yeah,
silverware, bro, like I said, I'm still really hoping for the league. The Champions League is always a weird one for me because it's just like we've never done it before. So until we do, I don't know how to actually really navigate it. I'm like, oh,
I know what you
whoever
mean.
it's just like you don't have the experience for it, bro. And it's look, I don't know if this is true. I saw a mock-up on Twitter that said we might draw, I think Lille maybe in the next round, and then from there we might either play Madrid or Bayern Munich or something like that from like the quarterfinals. And it's like if that's the case, then I mean, also if you lose against Madrid or Bayern, I mean, is that real shame? Yes, you obviously want to beat them, but you those are some of the best teams in Europe, bro. And I think just to close the silverware topic off is that look, I do want Arsenal to win something. I think Arsenal can
Of
win
course.
something. I'm just not too sure what it will be because again, I still feel like it just feels like we're later on in the season than what we actually are.
I
We're
know what you
22
mean.
games.
Well, while I was just looking up like the Premier League table the year we were 5 points clear of Man City,
Mhm.
um, for a lot of the for quite a bit of the second half of the season, and they ended up finishing at 6 points ahead of us. So that's a 11-point
2 point
swing, and
swing,
that's with them throwing it away in the final. They
two
threw it
games or
away.
something.
Yeah, in the final two games, they couldn't be bothered, right? Because they'd already won it. And I'm just looking. I mean, they were 5 points behind us all the way up to match week 26. I mean, if we just keep looking, let's see where we are at match week 30. Match week 30. Oh, they closed it to 3 points by then. Let me go maybe to match week 28 then. Just having a quick look because I always find this really interesting. Right. Match week 28, we were still 5 points ahead of Man City, and they actually drew a game in the kind of run up in the months running up to that. So 5 points with 10 games to go was the gap. And we're worried about 6 points with
16 games, bro.
16 games to go. And, okay, I know they could win at Goodison Park, and that's 9. But there's still a lot of games there. Look, here's my thing about Arsenal. It's not that we're not capable. It's not that a side with, that's challenged for the title the last few years isn't capable of clawing that back. That's not what worries me. What worries me is that when we were 5 points ahead of City, I don't know what it is. I just always felt they were better than us. I always thought with De Bruyne, with Haaland's form, with the balance in their side, with the match-winning quality, I just thought we have to keep being great because they're great. I think what it is for Liverpool is they don't have to be great right now. They have literally been dropping points because we haven't been. But if we add that player, and we're going to talk about transfer, if we add that player, if we get that 50, 60 million pound quality in the final third, and we actually get some players fit, I'm confident if Arsenal can do what we've done in previous seasons, which is win 6, 7 games in a row, I'm confident we'll find ourselves, with or without that game in hand, 2 points behind Liverpool. I'm confident we would if we win 7 games in a row. But we're just not doing that. So I feel kind of stupid even thinking about it. Liverpool's games at the moment, they won yesterday against Lille. I didn't watch the game, 2-1. Yeah, I mean, it was 1-1 before the red. Oh no, actually, they got an equaliser when the red card caught. I didn't watch that game, so I'm not going to pretend that Liverpool were or weren't great. But Liverpool go to Bournemouth soon. They go to Everton soon. They go to Man City. Then they host Newcastle, and then they go to Liverpool. By the 15th of March, so in the next 2 months, they go to Bournemouth, Everton, City, Villa, and they host Newcastle. Like,
if they win those games, they deserve to win the league, bro. That's how I see it. Like if they come out of the unscathed and win everything, then it's like, what can you really do?
I was thinking this of Brentford and Forest, and we didn't come out any closer to them. So Arsenal, get active, because if we add, and I'm not even saying I want Osimhen for 90 million and I want Kudus for 85 million. Bam, get it done. I'm not even calling for that because I also live in the real world. But go get Cunha for 65. If that's the guy I want, go get. I prefer Cunha for the now, but I prefer Sesko for the summer. But whatever. Like, go get that 60 million pound talent, 70 million pound talent that's going to add something. Bam, there's a player. Get something out of Raheem Sterling, please. There's another player that can already give us more. Get Waneri back fit. Erdegaard rediscovers some form, please. Then you still got Rice, Jorginho, Partey. Get your defenders back. Go into games with White, Saliba, Gabriel Calafiori, or Timber Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis Skelly. Boom. Get Tomiyasu playing some football because we need him. Get those players back. Add that player. Recall Fabio Vieira. I'm not even joking. So we need some midfield. We need some quality in the attacking third. And I know he's not been great, but he's got more than a lot of the players we have now. So get Fabio Vieira back on recalled, and I think Arteta said that that's an option. Do that, and I promise you win 5, 6, 7 games in a row, which takes us to about beginning/mid March. The season looks so different, but we are wasting away already all of Jan. Well, we could have had that player in, we could have got some wins on the bounce, we could have had a foot in the Carabao Cup semi-final. The Carabao Cup final. We could have been in the FA Cup 4th round, and we could have been closer to Liverpool. And I promise everything feels a million times different. But Arsenal 100%. Being so stagnant in the market it's stopping us. It's pulling us back from like having that big jump and feeling that this season needs that takeoff that this season has been waiting for. But we're not having it. And I think a lot of it is, yes, because of bad luck, but also because we're not doing what we're meant to do as a club to give us that, to earn that luck. We need to earn it, and we're not doing it.
Just obviously speaking about the transfer window, I know you mentioned Cunha there, bro. Look, I've watched Cunha this season, and look, he's a good player. It's not that I would say he wouldn't be good at Arsenal. I would need Cunha and someone else, bro. I don't know if Cunha comes in, and I'm like, yeah, that's the guy. Even with Sesko, you know what I think Arsenal really been lacking, in my opinion, is like, bro, we aren't an open play like kind of creative team anymore. We don't really create from open play as much as I would like. We play our passes are really in a U shape. We don't really play through teams. I think the only player that I can say that really drives through teams is Rice. And I mean, at the beginning of the season, I remember watching one of the Forever Arsenal podcast, and I think you mentioned that you prefer Rice in the 6, but he's looking a lot better in the 8 because nobody
Yeah.
else is creating or doing anything. He's not dynamic enough in the midfield. So I get the Fabio Vieira recall. I would go as far as recalling Vieira, try and get Brahim Diaz on loan, so you don't rush Saka back as well, and then you either go get your Sheshko. I think Arsenal need to be. I need that David Dean savviness in the market, where it's like see
Yeah.
an opportunity or make an opportunity where there isn't one. Like Nottingham Forest bidding for Cunha or West Ham bidding for Duran. You need to test the waters. And I think Arsenal sometimes, and I'm gonna put this more on the board. I think they played a lot safe. It's like we can say Rice was the 105 million pound signing, but in actuality, I think if City don't come in, that's an 80 million pound transfer, in my opinion, at most. But the pressure from City, also him being a Englishman, it is going to push the price up, and that's invariably what happens. But I think in this window, I think I would like for us to go for two forwards, bro. A creative midfielder type of player / winger.
Yeah.
So if it's
Yeah. I
Cunha
want
and
that.
Sesko or however you're going to build, I think Arsenal are not. We can't just bring one player. For me, is not Sesko's not going to make me think we're going to win the league. I'm being completely honest with you, bro. I'll be happy with the addition.
I'm
But if
with
you,
you.
for
I'm with
example,
you.
bring Zubamendi and Sesko in now, I'd be like, yeah, I see it. I have Sesko, bro, young forward. I mean, is he currently on better form? Like, does he give you that much confidence over Havertz? Havertz is a proven player in our team. Is he a game changer like that? Maybe Gyökeres will be the one where you're like, okay, this guy's on form. Gyökeres is banging in goals, so you bring him in, or Osimhen, or someone like that. And I just think, I don't know, bro. The transfer window is it's. I feel like we've left ourselves short because I think the planning has been poor. You should have,
Yeah.
if you didn't do any business in July or in the summer, those targets should have been, in my opinion, ready. The money you're willing to invest in Cisco in June or July, why can't you do it now? Because I'm sure you were going to sign Marino anyway. I
Yeah.
think Marino, Calafiori were all signings for now. They weren't that, we're not signing a forward, so that's how we're getting Marino. So where's the budget for Cisco gone to? Where's that money just suddenly disappeared to?
It's a good point. I mean, especially because I think we made a net profit, on the last window, and Arsenal have done this. They wanted Mudryk in January 2023. Cool, fine. They didn't get him, but they tried. And you know what? It's probably a good thing that they had a price they were willing to ultimately stop at, because he went to Chelsea and he flopped. So I have no problem with Arsenal spending maybe the first week or two of the window really chasing whoever number one is. But what they did so well, and they had a few really good windows, Arsenal, which I think they're in danger of being forgotten about, which is, they got in Jesus and Vieira quite quickly.
Mm.
And then Saliba obviously came in. I think there was a third signing that window. Jesus,
Zinchenko.
Vieira, Zinchenko.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you say Zinchenko? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they brought three players in that transformed Arsenal. Saliba comes back. In a title race they didn't expect. They decided by mid-Jan, by the 20th, we're going for Trossard because he's available and he's going to add something we don't have. And actually, we're just going to add some quality that we need. We need a 6. We wanted Caicedo. They're not going to let him go. Do you know what? Jorginho's better than nothing. And then we need another centre-back. We'll get in Jakub Kivior, 20 million. And if you look at those three players, Trossard, his impact, look, that's been a very good signing. Whether he's the answer now is another question. But for 27 million, what we needed for that next 18 months, he more than delivered. Jorginho, more than delivered. When called upon, he's done brilliantly. Yeah, you could point to the odd game. You could talk about every single footballer in the world having a bad game, bar Lionel Messi,
100%.
right? So he had the odd bad game, but largely he's been brilliant. And we had him there. And when we went to Villa Park, Partey wasn't available. Jorginho played really well in that game, and he scored the late winner. And we won, to put us 3-2 up, and we win that game 4-2. He's had his part to play. When St James's Park was outstanding, kept the title race going. Kivior came in at centre back once. Rob Holding had an absolute shocker and did pretty well too. And you're looking at this and you're going, they did a job for a combined 80 million, 70, 60, 70 million. They all more than played a part in just giving us a boost to the end. Now, a big club will get to the end and go, right, is Kivior good enough? Genuinely. Is Jorginho genuinely good enough? Is Trossard? And if they're not, you either sell them or you go, right, you guys are squad players again.
Yeah,
But now
moving it
we're
down.
adding our big six, our big centre back, and our big forward. So there's nothing wrong with getting someone who's going to give us a boost. Now, Cunha for 65 million doesn't sound like a player who's just coming in to give us a boost. But, how many of those options are out there on the market? I'm not sure. So it feels like Arsenal are going to be forced to actually doing something either early, 6 months early, or something a bit exceptional in terms of spending money. That, look, I think Cunha is a 55, 60 million pound player. Wolves fans hate me for saying that, but it's just my opinion. But if you've got to spend 75 because ultimately it's better than nothing, then I would do it. I would do it because I think we're that desperate in the forward line right now. We're so lacking in kind of any quality and class in the final third.
Look, like I feel like bro, Cunha for 70 million. I think that's madness, bro. No,
Would you
no.
definitely not do it? Better
I
than
just I
nothing though.
Bro, I'm just gonna sound like a wild take, but I would rather just bring back Reece Nelson. I feel like he does it. He's played with the team. The adaptation doesn't take as long. I think with Cunha, it's always a risk with the new signings that he comes in and he doesn't maybe click, and then it's like, oh, should you just spend 75 million on this guy? He looks like a Mudrik, and now you really don't win the league. So it's like, bro, at the end of the day, transfers are always the most precarious things because they can either go really good,
Sure.
really well, and it's always tricky. So I think the one thing I can say is the earlier that they had gotten this done, the better. That's the only
Sure.
like criticism I can have. But if they're waiting because they want Sesko and they're going back for their summer target, by all means, bro. That means it's someone that they've been genuinely looking at probably for the past year, and I'd much rather them spend that 75 million on that kind of player. That I think I don't want. For me, like bro, Sterling doesn't feel like an Arteta signing, but people will say that he was because
Yeah.
he played or they worked together at Man City. If he's your signing, bro, why are you not playing him? I mean, yes, you can say training performances, etc., etc. But Wanier
Yeah.
is getting more opportunities than Sterling, bro. If Wanier is fit tonight to start, he starts over Sterling. And I think we
But
can all say that.
if I could jump in there just for a sec though, you make a good. I totally get it. If Sesko's the one you really really want, don't waste the funds in January and wait to get him in the summer. But the problem is, while I've said that, you do this, this, and this, and we could catch Liverpool, and it makes it sound like you're so close to the pinnacle, the dream, where we want to be. Because of this season, we're also so close to being the wrong side of this, which is falling out the Champions League spots. The Carabao Cup formality, Newcastle go through. We're already out the FA
Yeah.
Cup and the Champions League. Even if we get to the groups, the qualifying rounds, or straight into the knockouts, whatever it might be, there's every chance that we end up in a bit of a mess with that one because we've drawn a difficult team. We get knocked out. Like the season could also very quickly crumble.
Yes,
We're just
100%.
we're teetering on that. It's not crumbled, but it could. But win 5 games and suddenly, whoa, everyone thinks it's great. Do something at St James's Park, win 2-0. That's possible. Go through on
Sure.
penalties and boom, everyone's happy. There's every chance that it goes one way or the other, which is why I think in January we can't afford to just go, well, if our summer target isn't available now, we won't get him. I said, well, forget the summer target then. Honestly, forget it because more footballers will always emerge. There'll always be other players. Do what you need to do now. Get the players that are available now to do what we can to try salvage this season. I personally don't want to waste it. And I get the longer term thinking. But basically, if you told me it's 70 million for Cunha now or 70 million for Sesko in the summer, I'd rather do 70 million for Cunha now. And I don't think he's
Look,
worth that, but
no,
I
look,
would.
what I think maybe I was saying that if because we obviously got the links to Sesko, I'm saying the club should go ahead with this move then. If this is your guy and you're chasing him from the summer and still now,
Oh, bring it
and
forward, you mean? Just do it now.
yes, yeah, do it now. No, do it now.
Well,
Don't like
sure.
if you were after him in this past summer window when he was our first major link. There was the report from Fabrizio that he ended up signing a new contract. So if that's your guy and you're still linked with him 6 months on, and you may be waiting the window out like you did with Thomas Partey, then go for it. But I'm also on the same boat with you that say, like, listen, if you're not going to do that either, then okay, invest in someone. Because at the end of the day, Cunha is definitely going to be an upgrade on Sterling, and it doesn't mean that Cunha needs to come in and start every game. He can balance out with Ranieri, he can rotate with Havertz, rotate with Trossard, just those options. So I'm not opposed to it. And at the same time, Liverpool brought on 80 million pound Darwin Nunez against Brentford and
Yeah.
scored. So why can't Arsenal bring on 70 million, 75 million pound Cunha and he comes in and scores? So again,
Yeah.
I think I should stick on the point where I say it's not my money. I don't care what Arsenal spend.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what
Just
you
not,
mean.
it's not my money, bro. It was like I shouldn't be this like 75 million is too much. Like for who? For like yes, from obviously we get the market, but just to say that if you get
Yeah,
75 million kind of player and he ends up winning us the league or we get over the line, everyone calls it a one of the coups of the window. Get it wrong, and it's why you spend 75 million. So
true.
it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, bro. And I think
Yeah,
ultimately Arsenal need to bring people in.
yeah,
Just because our squad is thin, and I think the fans and the players do need a boost.
yeah.
Um,
Totally
and I
agree.
think in terms of the window, but I think all Arsenal fans are in the same boat. Whether you Arteta in, Arteta out, this, that, the other, bring somebody in.
Yeah,
Bring somebody.
agree. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. We'll
Bro,
see.
just
We'll see.
obviously your overarching thoughts. Obviously, we've discussed obviously the season so far. Our thoughts on the squad, silverware, obviously transfer window. When the transfer window ends at the end of the month, and all said and done, obviously we don't know what the results will be. What position do you hope Arsenal find themselves in, and what do you think or expect could still happen for the rest of the season? Like just your overarching feelings.
Okay. I think Arsenal will bring someone in at around £60 million. I don't know who it will be. I'm not convinced it's Cunha, but let's see. I think they'll do something. I think it'll give us a bit of a boost. I think we will go on a run of maybe 5 wins in a row. I think we'll do something like that. Maybe not, you know, maybe not sort of 7, 8, 9, 10, but I think we'll go on a run where we get maybe 5 wins in a row and we'll claw ourselves back into a conversation. I think we'll struggle though to claw ourselves above Liverpool. I think that will be really tricky for us to do. I think we'll put ourselves into the chat. I think there will be a feeling that there's a title race come April, but I don't think we'll ever be above them or looking like we're going to be or whatever. So unfortunately, I don't think we'll win the league, but I think we'll claw ourselves into the conversation, even though we haven't been able to recently. I think we'll fight valiantly at Newcastle, but go out of the Carabao. I think the Champions League, I think there's a chance at a surprise there. I don't know if we'll win it, but I could see us getting to a semi-final with an ideal draw. I just looked at that Inter Milan draw. They had Porto, then Benfica, then AC Milan. I mean, give me that run to the final any day. Albeit I think AC Milan are better this season, and we haven't always done well against Porto, but there we go. I could see us getting to a semi-final. I could see us just having a bit of luck in the draw and finding ourselves there. But yeah, it's going to be a trophyless season again for me. So what I need to see from Arteta is the football improve drastically, the integration of Lewis Skelly and Nwaneri, a signing in January that tells us we're serious, and a real go in the Champions League, and at least doing what we can in the Premier League. The thing is, there will be a conversation if we go without a trophy, and rightly so. Well, why do we keep persisting with the guy who can't get us over the line? But it depends. If we finish a few points off Liverpool, who have largely had their team fit, but I take it Jota and Alisson missed some football. Canate missed a month and a half. I totally hear that. If we do finish a couple points behind Liverpool with what has just been the most nonsense season, from red cards to injuries to everything, I think you just got to feel that Arteta deserves another crack at it.
Yeah,
But
I
then
think so.
my eyes will be all over the transfer window, and I'll be saying, look, if the Cronkies and Arteta don't go big on a forward line, and we don't come out of the transfer window in the summer feeling genuinely so excited about the forward options we have, then I will stop believing in this process then more than I will for this
No,
season, if that makes sense.
I know what you mean.
Because mistakes can happen, and I can try and look beneath the surface of the reasons why and what went against us, what have we not done right, blah blah blah. If you go another window, and I'm not even talking January because January counts, another summer window without
Start
addressing
building
these
squad.
problems. Yeah, don't give me one Sesko across these two windows and say, well, we added a forward.
Yeah,
Sorry, no. We need two forwards. I'll take one in each window. Two
sure.
forwards, an attacking midfield player, and then you're looking at Waneri being a year older. But we need play. Oh, and Zubamendi counts too, because
Yeah,
Zubamendi comes in, and your options are Erdegaard, Zubamendi, Rice, Marino. One of Jorginho Partey will stay. plus
And 1 year.
I was going to say another 10. And then your forwards are Waneri Saka, striker Havertz, Martinelli or Trossard, because one of them has to go, and then another forward. I'm going,
Yeah.
okay, you've actually upgraded our attacking options. The defense is fine. The defense doesn't need to be touched for 5 years. White, Tomiyasu, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Kivior, Calafiori, Zinchenko, Lewis Skelly. 9 players. The defense does not ever have to be touched again. Like, we're fine. Let them keep growing. They're all so young. And even if you sell one of those, I'd say the same. But that's honestly, I'll lose more faith in the process and the direction and the actual faith I have. I'll lose more faith in the people running our club if they really saw this season and allowed for another 3 players in the forward lines not to be attacked, in the attacking positions not to be added.
Yeah.
That's where I'd lose it.
And look, but I really do agree with you that I think, it's almost like you can make the mistakes this season, but they can't go on. They can't happen again next season. We can't have a thin squad this like January of next season. It can't be like, oh, we're thin, or or we've got too many defensive midfielders. Like the squad needs to be balanced. Like if you look, I think Arteta, like you said, regardless of what happens this season, I think he does deserve another season. Obviously, if he wins a title, then it's obviously a whole different story. But regardless of what he wins this season, I think one more season. And like you said, I think they need to give us a window like they did in 2022, 2023. We were so excited for that season when Jesus, Zinchenko, Vieira came in with, like you said, it was just...
Even the year after, Timber, Rice, Havertz, bam,
Yes.
bam, bam, all in, David Raya. They genuinely upgraded on a lot of positions there.
100%. And I think, for me, for the rest of the season, bro, it's like, I'm actually not going to allow us to go out with a whimper. I need Arsenal to be in the title. Bro, 6 points. Even if you, let's say you can you just have to keep Liverpool on their toes. Like they have to be performing. Like Liverpool haven't had to perform on some game weeks because do you know what I'm saying, bro? So like we need to put pressure on them. When they need to go into a game, like okay, we need to win this game. We can't afford a slip up no matter what. And I think if Arsenal can do that, you just keep yourself in the conversation for as long as possible. And I think that's what I want Arsenal to be. And I want Arsenal to be in the conversation. So and I think. It's like you said, semi-final Champions League. I think is a tough one. Like the draw, I'll speak to you on X and like tell you, oh, look at the draw. I feel like we'll do this. I'll have to literally see every time we draw someone how I feel, because I can say now I think we can win it definitely, But if we play Madrid in the quarterfinals, I might text you like, yo, bro, it's just one of those seasons. Not getting any luck in the league. You get Madrid in the quarterfinals. We'll talk in the summer kind of thing,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
you said you could get an Inter Milan kind of draw, and it's like, hey, you're playing Porto and this and this, and I'm like, hey, bro, I'll check you in the final, type of thing. So I'm really hoping that somewhere we can galvanize, whether it's a good couple results, a signing, a Liverpool slip up, a Liverpool slump. Like Liverpool might slump. We might not have maybe bought someone in, for example, but we've got our players back. We're winning, and that gets us back. I just need to see something from the team, and I'm hoping all the bullshit and bad luck is behind us. Sorry for my language, but like it's really just, I think Arsenal at the point now where we've got the first half of the season out, and that's great. We can digest that. I think you can get to the point now after the group stage of Champions League where you can say, okay, this has happened, but what can we do now? There's no point us as fans like bickering amongst each other. What we could have done, it's done. It's what can we do now? And I think Arteta said that, in his press conference yesterday. He said, we can call ourselves unlucky against Villa, but what can we control? What could we have done better? And then focus on those things. And I think I'll give Arteta credit for that, bro. He never hides, like he said in his conference, hit me, guys, hit me, and that's why I'm willing to give him time, because he's not out here hiding or making excuses. Yes, sometimes he might say things, and my opinion is that if you remember the All or Nothing documentary, he said to the players, like, in here I'll defend you, out there I'll take the shot. So everyone's like, he comes out and he says, I'm happy with my players. Bro, you tell me after they drop points against Brighton and against United that he was not losing his shit. He was probably, he was telling them off. He said that he's not going to come out and slate them in the media. It's mind games, bro. Ultimately. So Liverpool my dad's a Liverpool fan, and he says, no, like, hey, we cruising, man. Like, we cruising. I'm like, hey, you guys are. But football's a funny game, and I've definitely seen it twist and turn. So, I think
stranger things have happened. Stranger things
100%.
have happened.
I'm hoping for once, but it's Arsenal's favor because only like it
Yeah,
always seems to go against us, bro. You
I
know,
know. I
it's just
totally agree.
excuse me, bro. But yeah, peeps, I think James and I are aiming for an hour, and I think we've literally just cracked the hour mark.
Unbelievable timing. Look at that.
All I know is I
Podcast
wouldn't be
experts. Why not?
yeah, I wouldn't be penalized for coming late. For this is the Forever Arsenal show, so there's tips to be taken here. But James, bro, it's been an absolute honor, bro, to have you here, just chatting, all things Arsenal. I think a team that we both really love, and I think, obviously with you being such a big, I would say, creator in the space, but I really appreciate you coming onto my channel. I've got a lot of local Gooners, bro. You're obviously in South Africa, bro. Like we've got our own fan clubs. We tend to look up at the local pubs, and the fan base here is as passionate, bro. Like
Yeah.
we've got our chance in the pub, and it's really good. So from my viewers, but I know they really appreciate you coming onto the show, bro. And I've already obviously sent it in all the group chats. So they're like, no, when is it coming out? So people, obviously, you will be seeing this video on Thursday. We are recording on Wednesday. This is before the Dinamo game, but we should have said this before the video. But you'll see when it is. James, bro, thank you so much for making the time, brother. Yeah, it's really been fun.
Shannon, thank you. Thank you. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, I'm just an Arsenal fan. I just love chatting about the club. So yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to chat with you. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to come to South Africa one day. We'll meet and watch Arsenal, and it'll be great. And yeah, man, look, thank you for the kind words and having me on, inviting me on, and yeah, it's been great. And what I'll always say is that football, the best thing about it, it's also the worst thing about it. The best thing about it is it's relentless. So things can change very quickly. And I just, listed there how much has happened since the 4th of December. Honestly, before I looked up the date, if you asked me to predict, I'd have said it was the 16th of December, something like that. But things change very, very quickly. So Arsenal fans are great at this, but keep going. And we'll see where we are. And I'm sure there's better times to come. And these aren't even the bad times, but there's even better to come, I'm sure.
I think you and I being similar age, I think we've seen the worst of it, bro. The Wenger era, bro. I remember losing when we lost 8-2. I didn't go to school the next day, bro. I asked my mom if I could stay at home. She's like, yeah,
Dark days. But I think those are behind us.
Yeah, I think so too, bro. So everybody, that's myself, Shannon. This is James, guys. Please, you can find all James' socials, and you can catch him everywhere with all the links in the description below. As always, guys, for myself, Shannon here at the Gunner's Voice, it's good to be a Gooner.